Top 10 Wheat Pennies Worth Big Money. Welcome. Today, we're going to explore some of the most valuable top 10 wheat penny, 1-cent coins from the United States of America. United States. In this video, we'll break down their current market value, the most famous mint errors, and the special conditions, including rare silver-colored varieties, unusual copper shades, and other unique features that have made these coins major players in the collector and investor world. These rare wheat pennies are not just pieces of American history. They are also some of the most valuable coins collectors are hunting for today. So if you are a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of U.S. currency, this video is for you. Let's get started with our first rare wheat penny. Fire. The story of the 1953 D wheat penny begins in the United States, standing firmly in the shadow of World War II but looking intensely toward the future. It was an era of rebuilding, expansion, and unstoppable momentum. The Denver Mint, surrounded by the rugged landscape of the American West, struck millions of copper cents that year. But among those countless coins, a very small number would survive with the kind of beauty, sharpness, and brilliance that turn an ordinary penny into a collector's treasure. The 1953 D is one of those silent survivors, underestimated in its time but deeply valued today. To understand the 1953 D wheat penny, you must picture America in the 1950s. Bright neon signs, booming factories, and a population racing into the modern age. Amid all that movement, a little copper coin traveled through every corner of daily life. Grocery counters, gas stations, lunch pails, school desks. Pennies were not saved. They were spent constantly. This is why finding a 1953 D in near-perfect condition today feels like discovering a piece of time preserved from a world that refused to slow down. Collectors love the 1950s wheat pennies because they embody the heart of post-war America. Resilient, hopeful, and full of energy. But the 1953 D stands out in a special way. Denver-minted cents of this era were often struck sharply, but they were also heavily used in circulation. As a result, only a tiny percentage of these coins survived with their original red luster. When a 1953 D shines like fire, glowing with untouched copper brilliance, it becomes something far more powerful than just 1 cent. The Denver Mint's D mark adds another layer of fascination. Unlike Philadelphia coins, the D carries a rugged Western spirit, representing the hard work and steady production that defined the Mint's identity. When collectors see a crisp, clean D beneath the date 1953, it is as if the coin whispers stories from the Rocky Mountains. Tales of miners, railroad workers, farmers, and families who once held it without ever imagining its future value. Though millions were minted, the irony is that the most valuable ones were never meant to survive. Brilliant examples were placed in circulation, handled roughly, tossed in pockets with keys, or forgotten in dusty drawers. Only a rare handful were set aside unintentionally and preserved by pure chance. These are the coins that today can command unbelievable prices, because they are not just rare, they are survivors of time. The copper used in these pennies carries a warmth that modern coins simply do not possess. In 1953, pennies were made of real metal that aged slowly and beautifully. Touching one now, especially one that has never been touched by circulation, feels like running your fingers across the past itself. There is a depth and richness to old copper that collectors cherish, and the 1953 D is a shining example of this legacy. Behind every valuable 1953 D wheat penny is a story. Some have been discovered in old military footlockers, forgotten safes, or untouched bankrolls sealed away for decades. When such a coin emerges, fully red, razor-sharp, glowing with life, it can transform its finder's fortune in a single moment. That is the magic that collectors chase. The idea that a tiny copper circle could carry life-changing potential. The wheat ear reverse, the iconic design used from 1909 to 1958, gives the coin timeless charm. Those two stalks of wheat symbolized prosperity and hard work, values that defined America throughout the first half of the century. On a 1953 D in pristine condition, the wheat appears textured, bold, and almost alive, making the coin feel like a piece of fine art rather than simple currency. As decades passed, most 1953 D cents became worn, dull, or discolored. This is why the rare high-grade examples stand out like glowing embers among ashes. Collectors know that the difference between an ordinary penny and a fortune-changing treasure is often just preservation. A flawless 1953 D has the power to shock the market, thrilling bidders and driving prices skyward. Imagine a 1953 D with full red brilliance, every detail sharp, every surface smooth, the design untouched by time. This is the type of coin that sits at the heart of intense auctions, where collectors compete fiercely because they know how rarely such a piece appears. In the world of rare cents, the 1953 D is the kind of sleeper coin that seems ordinary, until an extraordinary specimen surfaces and proves its hidden strength. Holding one of these gems is like holding a spark from a forgotten era. It carries the optimism of the 1950s, the craftsmanship of traditional minting, and the unpredictable magic of numismatic survival. It is incredible to think that a coin worth 1 cent could possess the potential to change a person's financial future in a single moment. But that is precisely the thrill the 1953 D offers. For many collectors, the 1953 D is more than just a date and mint mark. It is a reminder that value can be hidden in the most unexpected places. It teaches patience, passion, and appreciation for the small details that define rarity. It reminds us that history is not always written in books. Sometimes it is carried in your hand, in the warm glow of a copper penny that refuses to fade. The market has shown again and again that the finest examples of this coin can explode in value, especially when they display their original brilliance. These coins are the quiet giants of the wheat penny series, overlooked by beginners, but deeply respected by experts. Their power doesn't come from fame but from scarcity, survival, and undeniable beauty. In the end, the 1953 D wheat penny is more than copper. It is a fragment of American spirit, a survivor of time, a symbol of hidden fortune, and a reminder that even the smallest coin can carry unimaginable power. For the collector lucky enough to hold a truly exceptional example, it is not just money. It is history, hope, and possibly the key to an overnight change in fortune. 1950 D, 1952 D, 1955 S, 1940 S, or any wheat penny year in mint. Next up, coin. The story of the 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark begins at a turning point in American history, when the world was still engulfed in World War II, yet the United States was rising with fierce determination. The Philadelphia Mint, represented by the absence of a mint mark, struck these pennies with a purpose far beyond ordinary commerce. They were minted in a time when every resource, every metal, every ounce of material held strategic importance. And within this era of sacrifice and precision emerged a coin that would later draw immense fascination and value. To truly understand the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny, you must picture a nation balancing hope and hardship. In 1943, pennies were made from steel because copper was needed for the war. But in 1944, as victory began appearing on the horizon, copper returned to the penny. This time from recycled ammunition shells, military equipment, and wartime scrap. That means the 1944 penny carries not just metal, but the spirit of a nation in battle and recovery. It is a coin literally forged from the war effort. Each 1-cent piece struck in 1944 Philadelphia carries the weight of history. Millions were minted, yet only a small fraction survived in beautiful condition. Most were spent quickly on rationed goods, train tickets, newspapers, or chocolate bars. They jingled in the pockets of soldiers returning home, mothers waiting for news, and young Americans dreaming of brighter days. Because these pennies were used constantly, finding one today in extraordinary condition feels like discovering a time capsule untouched by the chaos of the 1940s. What makes the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny so captivating is its deep, warm copper glow. This is copper with character. Older, richer, and more meaningful than modern alloy coins. It carries a reddish fire that seems to intensify with age. A high-grade example looks almost alive under the light, its surface glowing like a polished ember. Collectors treasure this because it reflects the craftsmanship of an era when coins were still miniature pieces of art. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for coins without mint marks, was the heart of American coinage. Its machines roared day and night during the war, producing currency to drive the economy and support the government. The 1944 penny was part of that pulse. When collectors see a 1944 penny with no mint mark, they hold a piece of the mint that powered wartime America. It is a silent soldier in copper form. The absence of a mint mark also makes the coin mysterious to many beginners. It makes people ask, why is it blank? But those who know the history understand that Philadelphia did not mark its coins at the time. And that blank space carries importance. It means the coin was made at the oldest, most historic mint in America, the birthplace of modern U.S. currency. Although millions were minted, the extraordinary ones, the flawless survivors with original shine, are the coins capable of shaking the collector market. These are the pennies that can command enormous prices, surprising even seasoned numismatists. A perfect 1944 penny can erupt like lightning at auctions, shocking everyone with its value. The market loves rarity, but it loves condition rarity even more. And that is where the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny earns its legendary reputation. Throughout the decades, the 1944 penny has been discovered in the most unexpected places. Some appear in dusty old jars in forgotten basements. Others surface in inherited coin collections untouched for half a century. A few are found in sealed bank rolls that have somehow escaped time. Every such discovery feels like finding buried treasure because a pristine 1944 penny represents a combination of luck, history, and survival. Collectors often talk about how this penny feels when held. Its weight is small, but its presence is enormous. It symbolizes victory in war, the return of copper coinage, and the beginning of modern American prosperity. When someone holds a shiny 1944 penny, they hold a piece of a nation rebuilding itself with pride and determination. The wheat ears on the reverse of the coin add to its charm. This classic design, used from 1909 to 1958, represents abundance and American agricultural strength. On a sharp 1944 penny, those wheat stalks appear strong, detailed, and deeply symbolic. They remind the observer that the coin was created during a time when bread, grain, and ration books determined daily life. It is a reminder of a time when simple things had profound meaning. As the years passed, the value of this coin grew, not because of hype, but because of heritage. A 1944 penny that has survived untouched for 8 decades is a miracle of preservation. Collectors know that coins like these do not simply exist, they endure. And endurance is the essence of value in numismatics. The coin also has a mythical aura because of the famous 1944 steel penny errors. Though rare, the existence of these mistakes adds dramatic energy to the entire 1944 series. It makes people look twice, examine closely, and hope for a miracle. And even though the copper example is the common issue, the best preserved ones radiate power and market demand. The 1944 penny represents opportunity, especially for those who hold an exceptional specimen without realizing its worth. Many people have accidentally owned fortunes without knowing it. One flawless penny can transform expectations. One rare survivor can turn a drawer find into a life-changing moment. And that possibility captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. In the end, the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny is more than copper. It is a symbol of American resilience, a reflection of wartime sacrifice, a survivor that carries the heartbeat of a nation. And for collectors who understand its depth, it is a coin capable of extraordinary value and unforgettable meaning. Next up, coin. The 1956 wheat penny and its Denver-minted twin, the 1956D, arrived near the end of an era, the closing chapter of America's beloved wheat cent design. By the mid-1950s, the nation was living through a golden age of economic optimism. Cars were bigger, cities glowed brighter, and the American dream shimmered across suburbia. In the middle of this booming nation, the U.S. Mint struck a coin that would unknowingly become one of the most emotionally charged relics of mid-century America. Every 1956 penny, though small in value at birth, now carries the spirit of a country stepping confidently into its future. The Philadelphia Mint produced the 1956 penny with no mint mark, while Denver stamped its D into the 1956 D coins. Together, they formed a river of bright copper that flowed into grocery stores, diners, movie theaters, and corner shops across the nation. Children saved these pennies in jars, dads flipped them for luck, and mothers pressed them into small hands for candy, ice cream, or their very first purchase. A 1956 penny is not just metal. It is a snapshot of American childhood, preserved in copper. Though millions were minted, the magic of this coin lies not in how many existed, but in how few survived untouched. Pennies were workhorses of everyday life. Most were rubbed, dropped, spent, lost, or forgotten in dusty drawers. But somewhere, in quiet corners of America, a tiny number escaped time. These escaped soldiers, shiny, uncirculated, perfectly preserved, hold a different kind of power. They are the coins that collectors worship today, coins that ignite bidding wars and spark dreams of unbelievable value. To hold a pristine 1956 or 1956 D-wheat penny is to feel the warmth of copper that has slept through 7 decades. Its gleam is smooth like glass and deep like a sunrise, untouched by the chaos of circulation. Look closely, and the portrait of Lincoln stands crisp and bold, carved with the artistic pride of an era when coins were miniature masterpieces. Every detail, from the fold of Lincoln's coat to the sharpened letters of Liberty, shines like a tiny monument. On the reverse, the 2 wheat ears curve upward like guardians of prosperity. This classic symbol of American abundance was already nearing retirement. Just 3 years later, the wheat design would be replaced forever. That makes every 1956 penny feel like a farewell letter, a final salute to the design that had defined nearly half a century of American currency. These wheat stalks look especially beautiful on high-grade examples, where every grain shows the work of the engraver's careful hand. The Denver Mint, represented by the D on the 1956 D penny, was a powerhouse during this period. It produced more pennies than Philadelphia, scattering them across the plains, mountains, and western states. The D gives the coin a rugged personality, as if it carries the heartbeat of the American West. Steel mills, mining towns, desert highways, and the spirit of expansion. A sharp 1956 D-wheat penny feels like a Western coin with Eastern elegance. Collectors love telling stories about finding unexpected treasure. Some of the most breathtaking 1956 pennies ever discovered were found in old bankrolls sealed since the Eisenhower years. Others appeared in coffee cans in barns or inside the bottom drawers of grandparents who never threw anything away. Each discovery feels like opening a time capsule, as if a whisper from the past says, "I survived untouched. I waited for you." What gives the 1956 wheat penny its electric place in the coin market is not rarity of mintage. It is rarity of perfection. A flawless coin from this year is a numismatic miracle. The tiniest mark, the smallest scratch, the faintest fingerprint can lower its value dramatically. That is why the few perfect survivors command astonishing attention. When collectors see a flawless 1956 penny, their eyes widen, their hearts beat faster, and bidding paddles rise like lightning. The copper used in these pennies is the same warm old-world metal that defined earlier decades. It shines with a character modern coins lack. Today's copper-plated cents cannot compare to the solid feel and deep color of a 1956 wheat penny. That authenticity, the feel of pure history in your palm, is part of what makes the coin so emotionally powerful. It feels honest. It feels alive. The 1956 penny also sits at a crossroads in American culture. Rock and roll was exploding, Elvis was becoming a legend, televisions were glowing in almost every home, and American identity was transforming. This penny was there for all of it. It is a small reminder of a country full of possibility, when hope felt new and the future felt limitless. For collectors, the coin is a warm memory of a simpler America, even for those who didn't live through it. Despite its age, the 1956 wheat penny remains one of the most accessible entry points into serious collecting, but also one of the most surprising. A beginner might overlook it, thinking it too common. But experts know better. They know that the right 1956 penny, in a condition so pristine it looks freshly minted, can change everything. They know that in coin collecting, common dates can transform into legendary prizes when preserved in extraordinary condition. The story becomes even more dramatic when one considers the few known errors and striking varieties of this year. Some coins were struck with doubled features, misaligned dies, or odd metal qualities. These unexpected accidents of the minting process elevate certain 1956 pennies into the realm of numismatic stardom. When one of these rare varieties surfaces, collectors feel the thrill of unpredictability, the sense that anything can appear at any moment. Yet the greatest power of the 1956 wheat penny is emotional, not financial. It is the power of nostalgia, the pull of history, the heartbeat of a vanished America. People treasure these pennies not only because they can be valuable, but because they remind us that even the smallest everyday object can survive long enough to become extraordinary. The 1956 wheat penny is proof that time transforms the ordinary into treasure. Whether found in a jar, a roll, or an old family collection, a high-grade 1956 or 1956, D wheat penny feels like a message from the past, a reminder that the smallest coin can carry the largest story. And for the collector who recognizes its beauty and keeps it safe, this little piece of copper has enough power to change fortunes, ignite dreams, and stand forever as a symbol of American heritage. Next up, the 1942 wheat penny is more than a copper coin. It is a heartbeat from a world drenched in history. Minted at the height of World War II, this penny was born in a moment when the world trembled, nations clashed, and American families prayed every night for the safety of loved ones overseas. When you hold a 1942 penny with no mint mark, you are touching a fragment of the home front spirit, a relic from a year when courage, sacrifice, and endurance defined everyday life. Philadelphia struck the no mint mark 1942 penny with steady determination, knowing the nation needed morale as much as money. Factories thundered day and night, steel mills roared, and assembly lines never rested. Soldiers carried pennies like charms, mothers saved them to buy rationed goods, and children clutched them as tiny symbols of hope. Every 1942 wheat penny feels like it carries the weight of those memories. Memories that echo through time with emotional power. The copper used in this coin came from America's industrial heart, harvested before copper shortages forced the mint to prepare for wartime changes. Each 1942 penny glows with that unmistakable deep reddish-brown color, thick and authentic, unlike the modern plated cents. You're not just holding metal, you're holding the last breath of a world before wartime innovation transformed American coinage forever. Lincoln's portrait on the front carries more emotion in 1942 than in almost any other year. His steady gaze appears stronger, firmer, as if looking into the uncertainty of the times. The details of his coat and hair, when preserved in high grade, appear almost carved with pride. Collectors treasure sharp, brilliant 1942 cents because every crisp line feels like a message from the past, saying, "We endured. We survived." Turn the coin over, and the iconic wheat ears rise like pillars of American strength. They curve around the 1-cent inscription like guardians of prosperity in a world fighting to stay hopeful. These wheat stalks speak of farms feeding the nation, of harvests supporting troops, and of the quiet resilience of rural America. A perfectly preserved reverse side makes a 1942 penny look almost alive, like the wheat is still growing. While millions of 1942 pennies were minted, very few survived uncirculated. Most were spent countless times to buy bread, stamps, flour, candles, and small luxuries during rationing. The pennies saw life in pockets of soldiers, purses of factory workers, and cash drawers of stores lit by dim wartime bulbs. They lived hard lives, and their worn surfaces show it. But the rare untouched survivors? Those are the ones that make collectors freeze in awe. A gem-quality 1942 penny is a time machine. Its copper glows with a fire that seems impossible for an 80-year-old coin. The fields around Lincoln's portrait shine like polished glass, reflecting light with jewel-like brilliance. When such a specimen appears in today's market, collectors don't just notice. They chase it like treasure hunters chasing a myth. These coins remind buyers that perfection is possible, even in a world at war. Some of the most fascinating stories about 1942 pennies come from discoveries of old coin rolls sealed away during the war. Many fathers returning from overseas saved rolls of pennies for their children, never imagining they would become priceless in the future. Decades later, families opened these rolls to find shimmering copper gems, coins untouched since the 1940s. For collectors, finding one of these is like opening a forgotten wartime letter. The emotional gravity of the 1942 penny gives it a special place in numismatic culture. It represents the last stable copper production before the mint shifted toward experimenting with steel in 1943. This makes the 1942 penny feel like the last chapter of the old copper era. Its weight, its thickness, its tone, all of it reflects a world that was about to change dramatically. And collectors love coins that mark a turning point in history. Even more intriguing are the era varieties of 1942, struck from stressed or misaligned dies during the frantic wartime production. Some exhibit doubling, some show delicate overpolishing, and some possess unique personality quirks that make them irresistible on the market. When one of these shows up in top grade, the result is fierce bidding and adrenaline-filled excitement among collectors. Yet the most captivating aspect of the 1942 penny is not rarity but survival. It survived World War. It survived decades of circulation. It survived countless pockets and purses and drawers. And if you have one today, especially a shining high-grade example, you possess more than a coin. You possess a symbol of endurance. You possess a fragment of American courage forged in copper. Collectors speak of the 1942 penny with reverence because it blends history, beauty, and mystery. No matter how many were minted, the story behind the coin adds a layer of value that money cannot measure. It is a connection to grandfathers who fought overseas, grandmothers who rationed, and children who prayed for peace. A single coin can carry all of that within its small round frame. And in today's market, pristine examples can spark bidding wars that defy expectations. Even though it began life as a simple 1-cent piece, the right 1942 penny, unimaginably well-preserved, blazing with original luster, can command prices collectors once considered impossible. This is the magic of numismatics. Ordinary objects become extraordinary treasures. In the palm of your hand, a 1942 wheat penny feels almost enchanted. It hums with a silent message from the past, reminding you that even the smallest things can outlive chaos. Its copper glow can make you feel connected to something bigger. History, family, destiny. And in a world where fortunes can shift overnight, this tiny piece of copper may indeed carry enough power to change someone's life forever. Whether kept in a protective case, stored in a family collection, or discovered unexpectedly in a forgotten box, the 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny stands as a symbol of resilience, hope, and possibility. It is a coin that whispers stories, holds emotion, and invites anyone who touches it to believe that even the smallest treasure can reshape the future. Next up, coin. The 1957 D wheat penny stands as one of the last great echoes of the beloved wheat reverse era, a final chapter in America's most iconic cent design. Minted in the bustling Denver Mint, this coin carries the heartbeat of a country on the verge of transformation. The 1950s were ending, America was rising, and the world was preparing for a new technological age. In the middle of all that change, the 1957 D penny emerged, glowing with copper warmth, simple in size but massive in spirit. When you hold a 1957 D penny, you are holding the closing breath of an era. Only 2 more years remained before the wheat design would vanish forever. The coin came from a time of jukeboxes, diners, polished chrome cars, and the booming American dream. Every 1957 D penny whispers the culture of post-war confidence, the kind of confidence that built highways, launched rockets, and pushed America into the future. The Denver Mint struck this coin with machine-sharp precision. But among the millions created, only a tiny fraction survived with their original fire. Most circulated through pockets, hands, and stores for decades, losing detail, fading into the everyday world. Yet the rare surviving mint-state specimens, the ones untouched by time, burn today with an almost unreal brilliance. In such grades, the 1957 D transforms from an everyday coin into a breathtaking copper jewel. Copper is the soul of this coin. Its warm glow carries the natural beauty of metal pulled from American mines, refined with scorching heat, and poured with skill into blank planchets. Under bright light, a high-grade 1957 D wheat penny flashes with a red-orange flame, like sunlight trapped beneath its surface. That glow alone can push collectors into bidding wars, because a coin that still holds its original copper radiance feels like it never aged. Lincoln's portrait on the obverse of the 1957 D is one of the most refined renditions in the wheat series. His gaze is steady, wise, carved with confidence. When the coin is preserved perfectly, every line of his hair, every fold of his coat, every curve of his jaw stands out with crystal clarity. Collectors say the 1957 D captures Lincoln in a moment of serenity, as if blessing the last years of the wheat design. The reverse of the coin, with its 2 iconic wheat stalks, feels like a tribute to America's agricultural roots. These wheat ears, which stood proudly on pennies for half a century, symbolize abundance, hard work, and harvest. In 1957, They were a final salute to the farmers who shaped the country long before skyscrapers rose and machines took over fields. Finding a 1957 D with sharp wheat lines, full grains, and deep definition is like discovering a perfectly preserved piece of Americana. Though millions were minted, the myth of value is not in the quantity, it is in the quality. The rare, breathtaking, untouched examples are the ones that shake the market. Coins graded with deep red luster, flawless surfaces, and perfect strike become coveted trophies. Such specimens can skyrocket in value, commanding attention and power no ordinary cent could ever dream of. These special pieces are the ones collectors whisper about, the ones that look like they were struck yesterday. Even more fascinating are the accidental miracles. The 1957 D errors and oddities. Some pennies were struck on misaligned dies, some received doubling, and others display small mechanical quirks that make them one of a kind. These pieces aren't just coins, they're anomalies, freak events of the minting world. And when collectors stumble upon one in gem condition, its value can explode far beyond imagination. The year 1957 itself adds emotional weight to the coin. America was humming with new inventions, booming suburbs, rock and roll on the radio, and the early sparks of the space age. Every cent spent in that year touched lives full of optimism and energy. A 1957 D penny passed through these stories. Children buying candy, teenagers feeding jukeboxes, fathers buying newspapers, mothers saving coins in glass jars. Those stories still cling to every worn example. To own a high-grade 1957 D penny is to hold a time capsule untouched by all those hands. Its preservation feels almost supernatural, like destiny protected it. Collectors say that these pristine coins feel chosen, as if they slipped past decades of wear and waited patiently for the right person to discover them. And when someone finds such a coin today, the emotional impact can be overwhelming. Some of the most valuable 1957 D wheat pennies come from forgotten hoards, bags, or rolls sealed away for generations. People placed coins aside in the 1950s without realizing their future importance. Decades later, their grandchildren opened old boxes and found copper flames shining like buried treasure. These discoveries sometimes rewrite family fortunes, proving that even a simple penny can carry life-changing power. But the 1957 D wheat penny is more than a collector's item. It is a symbol. It symbolizes the end of an American artistic legacy, the wheat design that shaped half a century of everyday transactions. It symbolizes a time of American strength and unity. And it symbolizes the idea that even the smallest object can rise in value far beyond its humble beginning, transforming into a piece of living history. In today's coin market, a perfect 1957 D with intense red luster commands admiration. Collectors chase it because it embodies rarity wrapped in nostalgia. It carries the thrill of possibility, because a coin preserved flawlessly for nearly 70 years feels like a miracle. The right coin at the right time with the right grade could sweep a collector into extraordinary wealth. And so, when people say a 1957 D penny could change your fortune overnight, it isn't just fantasy. It reflects the real electrifying truth of numismatics. One flawless coin, one spectacular survivor, one copper masterpiece can break records, spark bidding wars, and rewrite your life. The 1957 D wheat penny isn't just a coin. It is a doorway to destiny, waiting for the hand brave enough to open it. Next up, coin. The 1952 wheat penny stands as one of the quiet, hidden legends of American numismatics. A coin that seems ordinary on the surface yet carries an unimaginable story beneath its copper skin. Minted in Philadelphia, the beating heart of America's earliest financial history, this no-mint-mark penny captures a moment in time when the nation was rebuilding itself after war, preparing for a brighter future, and stepping confidently into a new era. Holding a 1952 wheat penny is like holding a little spark of American determination. To understand this coin, you must understand the world it came from. The year 1952 was full of shifting winds, new technologies, brave ideas, and the first hints of modern America taking shape. People filled busy streets with hope, children played in neighborhoods booming with life, and factories buzzed with the energy of progress. In the middle of all this, the Philadelphia Mint quietly sent millions of wheat pennies into circulation, each one destined to carry a small piece of the American dream. The design of the 1952 penny is a timeless tribute to Abraham Lincoln. His calm yet powerful portrait watches over the obverse side, reminding every American of courage, unity, and sacrifice. When a 1952 penny is perfectly preserved, Lincoln's face glows with almost lifelike depth. Every strand of hair defined, every contour carved with impressive precision. It feels as though the man himself peers back through the decades. On the reverse, the iconic twin wheat stalks stand tall, symbols of abundance, harvest, and the strength of the American farmer. Before machines dominated agriculture, wheat was the backbone of national survival. These wheat ears represent the hands that fed the nation. Hands worn by work, hands that built America's earliest prosperity. To see them sharply struck on a 1952 penny is to witness a final tribute to that legacy. A legacy that would end only a few years later when the design changed forever. What gives the 1952 wheat penny its power is not how many were minted, but how few survive in extraordinary condition. Most pennies from that era spent decades rattling in pockets, buying candy, paying for bus rides, or slipping unnoticed through millions of everyday transactions. They carried lives, stories, laughter, and struggle, until they wore down into dull brown circles of metal. But a tiny handful escaped that fate. The pennies that survived untouched, those that kept their original copper shine, have become priceless treasures. Under the right light, a high-grade 1952 penny burns with a fire-red glow, a metallic flame that defies time itself. These coins are the miracles collectors chase, untouched, unbent, unaged. Their surfaces remain smooth, their luster undimmed, their beauty breathtaking. Such coins can ignite bidding wars and command shocking prices because they are living proof that perfection can survive history. Copper itself gives this coin a magic unlike any other metal. Unlike silver or gold, copper ages like a storyteller. It darkens, deepens, and carries the touch of time. For a 1952 penny to remain bright and fiery red is nothing short of extraordinary. It means the coin was protected for generations, never dropped, never spent, never forgotten. It means someone, long ago, unknowingly saved a future treasure. And then there are the rare surprises. The errors, the mistruck pieces, the coins born with beautiful imperfections. Some 1952 pennies show doubling in letters, others have off-center strikes, and some display mysterious surface anomalies created only during minting. These rare mistakes transform a simple penny into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And when paired with high grade, they explode in value, reaching heights far beyond expectation. The year 1952 adds emotional weight that collectors deeply appreciate. America was transitioning from the memories of World War II into the power of a rising nation. Families were building new lives, industries were booming, and optimism filled the air. A penny spent in that year may have bought a soda, a newspaper, or a child's first baseball card. Each coin is a quiet witness to a decade bursting with culture. A pristine 1952 penny is more than a historical artifact. It is a survivor, a warrior, almost mythical in its endurance. Collectors often describe the feeling of owning one as holding time itself between their fingers. The shine, the strike, the detail. Everything works together to create a coin that feels almost unreal, like a fragment of 1952 frozen in perfection. Many of the most valuable 1952 wheat pennies come from forgotten rolls or bags tucked away in old drawers, safe boxes, or attic trunks. Families sometimes discover these treasures completely by accident, shocked that something so small could carry such massive value. These moments rewrite family stories, changing not just collections but futures. And that is the true magic of numismatics. History transforming into opportunity. Today, the 1952 wheat penny holds its place as one of the shining copper relics that can elevate any collection. The passion surrounding it grows stronger each year as more collectors chase the finest examples. When an untouched, fiery red 1952 penny surfaces, the coin community takes notice. The excitement spreads quickly, because everyone knows that such a coin could shatter expectations and climb values beyond imagination. And this is why some people say the 1952 wheat penny can change your fortune overnight. If you hold the right one, the one with eye-blinding luster, perfect preservation, rare errors, or extraordinary strike, its worth can be life-changing. It becomes more than money. It becomes a symbol of destiny. a simple copper cent transformed into a path toward wealth, rarity, and legacy. The 1952 wheat penny is not merely a coin. It is a piece of American heritage, a copper miracle, a silent guardian of memory. It is proof that greatness does not always come from size or weight. Sometimes it comes from resilience, beauty, and survival. And for the person lucky enough to discover the perfect example, this coin has the power to turn an ordinary day into the beginning of a new life. Next up, coin. The humble wheat penny, a coin that once jingled in the pockets of everyday Americans, is far more than mere currency. Among these, the 1956 wheat penny stands out as an iconic piece, representing not only the post-war era of American history but also an incredible opportunity for collectors. Its copper composition, historical significance, and relative rarity in pristine condition make it a coin that can capture imaginations and wallets like few others. In 1956, the United States was experiencing an era of transformation. The country was rebounding from World War II, the economy was booming, and the American dream was alive and vibrant. The coins minted during this period reflected the optimism of the age, yet in the quiet minting process of the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, few could predict that some of these ordinary pennies would one day become highly coveted treasures. The wheat penny itself, named for the twin stalks of wheat engraved on its reverse, was first introduced in 1909. By 1956, it had become a familiar symbol of everyday commerce, passing through countless hands in small transactions. Its design, simple yet elegant, made it more than just currency. It was a piece of art in the palm of your hand. What makes the 1956 wheat penny so special in today's collector market is not just its design but its rarity in certain conditions. While millions were minted, coins that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition are extremely scarce. The natural wear and tear of decades of use has left most specimens with diminished value, making those few remaining coins worth far more than their face value. Collectors often overlook the power of mint marks when evaluating these pennies. A small letter, such as a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, can transform a common 1956 wheat penny into a valuable collectible. Coins without a mint mark, typically from the Philadelphia Mint, carry their own allure and historical weight, representing the primary production hub of the United States Mint at that time. The composition of the coin adds another layer of fascination. Made primarily of copper, these pennies weigh in at 3.11 grams and boast a reddish-brown patina that only grows more beautiful with age. Copper itself has long been a valuable metal, but the numismatic value of a well-preserved 1956 wheat penny can far exceed the worth of the metal alone. History whispers through these coins. Imagine holding a penny that might have been spent at a soda fountain in the 1950s or slipped into the pocket of a teenager heading off to a drive-in movie. Each scratch, each slight imperfection, tells a story of American life, of families, of markets, and of the rhythms of daily existence half a century ago. Yet, the real excitement comes when collectors realize the market potential of these coins. In mint condition, a 1956 wheat penny can fetch hundreds, sometimes even thousands, of dollars at auction. For those lucky enough to discover a rare variant or an exceptionally well-preserved specimen, the gains can be astronomical. There are stories of single coins changing hands for more than the annual salary of an ordinary worker from the 1950s, a tangible link between history and modern wealth. What fuels this frenzy is scarcity. While the U.S. Mint produced millions of wheat pennies, few survive in perfect condition today. Many were lost, spent, or corroded beyond recognition. Those that remain are coveted by collectors and investors alike, who understand that owning one is not just about nostalgia. It's about an asset that can grow in value over time. The narrative of the 1956 wheat penny also intersects with the broader history of American coinage. The wheat penny series, which ended in 1958, marked the final chapter of a design tradition that began with Abraham Lincoln's centennial portrait. By holding a 1956 penny, one holds the legacy of nearly half a century of American coin artistry and the story of a nation's economic evolution. For aspiring collectors, finding a high-grade 1956 wheat penny is a thrilling quest. It's not just a matter of luck. It's a combination of diligence, historical knowledge, and careful inspection. Those who sift through coin rolls, estate collections, and old jars of forgotten coins often find themselves staring in awe at what seems like an ordinary penny, until its true value is revealed. Every 1956 wheat penny has the potential to unlock fortunes, but only if recognized and preserved correctly. Handling coins with care, storing them in protective cases, and avoiding harsh cleaning are critical steps to maintaining their value. A small scratch or a misguided attempt at polishing can erase decades of historical significance and reduce a coin's market price dramatically. Some enthusiasts dream wildly of discovering a $1 million penny, the proverbial coin that transforms a collection into a legacy. While such stories are rare, they're not entirely mythical. History has shown that coins, once overlooked as mundane, can suddenly capture the fascination of the collector market, and their value can skyrocket beyond imagination. Owning a 1956 wheat penny is therefore not merely a financial opportunity. It's a privilege. It connects the holder to the era of post-war America, to the everyday lives of millions of people who relied on these coins, and to the ongoing story of numismatics as both a hobby and an investment. The coin serves as a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry enormous historical and monetary significance. In the end, the 1956 wheat penny represents more than copper and design. It represents possibility, history, and the thrill of discovery. For those who find themselves fortunate enough to hold one in pristine condition, it is a tangible link to the past and a potential key to future wealth. Every glance at its delicate wheat stalks reminds us that even the simplest of objects can shape destinies, captivate collectors, and sometimes, if luck is on your side, make fortunes overnight. Next up,